Hello everyone. Welcome to this live. Let's see how long Instagram lets me hang out with you guys today. Because we're going to talk about something controversial. We are going to talk about the cuties, over-sexualization of children, and this whole conversation that I've been having on my stories, especially the last few days. I want to talk about it. And I'm hoping that Instagram will let me be here and share it with you, although I'm not super optimistic because I typically get kicked off. But let's say a prayer, please. I want to dive into this in a live, and I don't know how long it's going to be just because I feel like it's much more than a few slides I can do in an Instagram story. And I want to share kind of where I'm coming from and my point of view because I feel like it's powerful in the sense of I am someone who did grow up in purity culture in a very, very, very conservative Christian home. So because of purity culture and just the way that way of thinking and teaching can often lead to, I did grow up with a lot of body shame, a lot of shame around my sexuality. I was completely disconnected from my pleasure, from just my anatomy, just from really being in my body and who I was as a sexual being, right? Going into marriage then I was 20 years old when I got married. I didn't understand a lot about my body and my pleasure and my sexuality. It was really uncomfortable to really explore that. And I had a lot of deep healing to do. And so I feel like, when we see these movies like Cuties, we're like, oh, okay, cool, female empowerment, sexual liberation, sexual empowerment, right? We put these kind of labels on it of this is the way. This must be how we eradicate shame, and we really teach young women how to be, connected to their body and to their pleasure. But the way that we're going about it is so dangerous, and it's a really, really, really slippery slope. So I wanted to share my point of view on this, again, because I did grow up in purity culture. And because I don't identify as a Christian conservative. And what I'm witnessing a lot of happen here is they're creating a huge, massive divide. The media, them, right? The elite, the deep state, these kind of pieces and leaders at the top that want to keep us divided. They're creating divide by saying this is a right-wing issue, and the left wing is kind of over here, right? We're making child exploitation political, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me. We're also making it a race issue. Apparently, there's articles going around that I have read personally that are talking about how this is a white woman, white suburban mom issue that we're raising kind of this kind of chaos and uproar and fighting back at Netflix about. So now it's become a political issue. It has become a race issue. It has become a religious issue where now it's just, evangelicals. I don't identify as an evangelical. I don't even identify personally. I don't do labels as a conservative, as a Christian. I am who I am. I'm Olivia. I am a woman, and I am here, and I explore beliefs and values and different pieces kind of on the left, the right, within spirituality, within religion, within all these different areas. And so I wanted to share my story and kind of where I'm coming from with these bits of notes that I've taken here to share with you why I, as someone who does not identify as these specific division labels, why I think that this is so fucking wrong in so many ways, why this movie, this depiction, this kind of picture that we're painting is dangerous, and it's a very, very, very slippery slope, okay? So hello to Sammy, hello to Danny and Nicole. Please say hello below. And if you've got, hi Amanda, if you have a screen name that doesn't have your name, can you just tell me your name so I can put a face name to a bubble? I want to be able to greet you by name. But I wanted to talk about this. So let's talk about Cuties, okay? And I don't think I'll be able to get to everything, mainly because there is so much, and if you've been following me, you've been seeing my stories, you know that I've been posting about it a lot. I'm obviously very passionate. I was actually talking about this with my group membership this morning, in terms of activism and in terms of, us kind of speaking up about our convictions and our values and all of this. when it comes to children, like my whole body is like mama bear wolf mode, and I am like fully activated of like, I can't shut the fuck up about this stuff, because to me, it's so important, because what's happening right now, and this isn't what we're going to talk about today specifically, I'm going to do this a podcast or a live in the future about it. Hello, Michelle. We're in a war, right? Spiritual war, physically manifesting. And the biggest issue right now is against our children. And it's against this next generation. We're keeping them separated. We're keeping them turned off. We're kind of hurting their pineal gland. We're really making it difficult for them to be socialized, because we know they're powerful. Because we know they have such a heightened consciousness, way more, aware and woke than we ever were as children. They are little beings of light and purity and innocence and goodness, and they are here to raise the vibration of the planet. So what we're witnessing happen as a culture is a war on our children, right? Hello. Is happening. And what's part of it is this normalization of pedophilia. And we have to address the fact, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a motherfucking fact, okay? And if you don't follow Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad at Our Rescue, they will back this up. They aren't conspiracy theorists or QAnon. It's like, can we stop with the fucking divisive labels? And I've talked about that in a previous live, okay? Stop. It's so naive. It is so ignorant. I cannot handle it. I am so sick of it. I am so over it, okay? This is a real issue. There are facts, there is evidence, there are people with boots on the ground rescuing children every single day, but the mainstream media is not talking about it. Children are trafficked, millions of them, every single freaking day. And human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the entire world right now. And with COVID and the lockdowns that happened, right? With all of that happened, it's even more drastic, and it's happening more. Like it's gone up. Human trafficking and child exploitation has gone up, like I think 40%. You can look up the specific statistic. Being pregnant, I get like out of breath. You guys get really like worked up. It really is true that it's risen. It's like through the roof right now, because kids are locked at home, right? They're outside of school. They're with, we imagine that the average American household is the same. We think like, oh, everyone has two loving parents. They've got money. They have food on the table. They're well taken care of and cared for and loved. And there's warmth and goodness and magic happening in each home. That's not the truth of what's happening. There's a lot of shit that goes on in a lot of American households, and I'm speaking to America right now because I'm American. That is a label that I identify as. And so what's happening is these children are not having their teachers or their safe people or their friends or being able to get out of the house. And so we're watching this rise and rise and rise. And again, you can go look at Tim Ballard's work in Operation Underground Railroad, and they've got so many more statistics if you're a factual person. But I need you to stop with the labels. Exactly. QAnon is being used as a scare tactic. It's being used as a division tool. When really, if you look at Q, which again, I've talked about this in a previous live, you're encouraged to think for yourself and go do the friggin' research. They don't tell you what to believe, but okay. Anyway, so human trafficking, right? On the friggin' rise. It is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the entire world. And where do pimps and where do these traffickers hang out? They hang out online. They are pedophiles, right? Prepubescent children, right? I can't with this, like, we're using these terms like minors and underage women and even young women. They're children. They are children. They are prepubescent. They are kids. They are not young women. These are, like in Cuties, they are 11 years old. Typically, you are prepubescent at 11 years old, right? Generally speaking, you haven't even started bleeding yet. You're an innocent child. You don't need to be twerking, touching your vagina, right? All over the internet, all over for these adult people in the audience that are paying to see this performance with these little booty shorts, taking naked pictures of your private parts, right? And all of this that's happening and going on right now, right? In this movie, that what's happening is they're taking pictures, they're exploring, they're watching porn on their phone. Like they're again, they are children, and we are robbing them of their innocence. exposing their chest, literally on the IMDb website. It's like, what does it say? I have it pulled up here. Maybe I don't have it pulled up here. Basically, it's like a female breast of a minor, like nudity, and it's literally says it could be lawfully considered pedophilia. If you had this movie on your laptop as an adult, if it was not a film that was like on Netflix, right, mainstream, you could be charged with pedophilia. You could be charged with having and owning and watching, viewing child pornography. There's no way around it, right? It's so lawfully wrong, morally wrong, and somehow it's becoming this division of like, well, it's only if you're white, if you're Christian, and if you're right-wing conspiracy theorist, you have a problem with it, and you should just sit the fuck down because this is female empowerment. Female empowerment, my ass. Why is the movie rated mature, so you have to be 17 or older to technically watch it? Why are adults 17 and older watching young girls twerking like Cardi B in her WAP video for entertainment? It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. I've heard so many rebuttals around like, well, you know, we need to let children be freely expressed and to have their fullest expression. Okay, you guys, these are children. You aren't sexual as a child. The only people that see kids as sexual and having a sexuality is pedophiles, because that's what they do. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. So we have to think of if children are watching this, because if we've never, I mean, I believe we're all on the same page here, right? We understand that children minds are malleable, right? They're still forming. They're figuring everything out. They're curious. They've got questions. They're looking into things. They're trying things out. They're emulating what they're seeing. That's what they're doing. They're modeling after what they're seeing. They don't have the cognizance yet, the understanding to be able to say this is right and this is wrong. Here's the boundary. Here's the consent. Here's what respect looks like. Here's the difference between, you know, being in a loving, safe container of a relationship. And here's when I'm trying to use my sexuality to get something. Like literally that's a scene in the movie. This uncle, this adult uncle sees this young girl with his phone. She won't give it to him. She tries to undress and use her body, her sexuality, to get what she wants from him, because that's what she saw. Do we not see, and thank God he denied it, but do we not see that this is what we're seeing as these young, malleable minds? They don't have the cognizance. And here's the other thing. Someone said, well, it's up to the parents to have that conversation. Again, I'm going back to, where's the, you know, prime example, right? The prime example of a parent in America. Because it's great if you have a mom, or if you are a mom that's going to sit down and have these beautiful, open, honest conversations with your daughters around, hey, here's the morals here. Here's the boundary. Hey, here's ways we can explore this. Hey, here's what's right about this. Here's what's not so right about this. Here's where this can be dangerous, honey. Here's what's going on. Are we having a come to Jesus, kumbaya, you know, powwow moment after the movie in every single American household? No, we're not. Right? We're not. It's great, again, if you have a mom that did that for you, if you are a mom that does that for your kids, but most children, if there are even children watching this, right, are watching this and they're so like zoned in on it, and they will emulate that because they don't understand. They don't have the cognizance yet to get this in, like, there's context missing, right? We're missing so much context in this conversation. And so to say, oh, well, it's the parents' responsibility and it's not the media's responsibility. The media shouldn't be putting out shit like this. Like, look at how when we were children, the extent of what we saw, right? Underage drinking, sex, but sex was all like in high school. So like, again, different. Maybe you stumbled across some porn. I never did. So like there's different things, but like this is becoming so normalized. What happened? What changed? Literally, there was just a law passed in California It was in the SF Chronicle. California will no longer require young adults to register as sex offenders for having anal or oral sex with a minor. Do we see how child exploitation, sexual exploitation is becoming the norm? We're making it so that it won't be a felony. Yeah, as long as it's oral or anal, that's different, right? Like, we're using words like underage women, child prostitute, right? Sex with minors. This is rape. There's literally articles going around about willing children. Oh, well, as long as the child is willing. A child cannot be willing. There's no way around that. You cannot justify that. Using this language is making it normalized, right? Non-consensual sex. Non-consensual sex is rape. Like, say it how it is. This is about our children, right? So, there's so many areas, so many ways I could go with this. I'm also wondering, those of you who are here, you're probably around my age, right? I'm 29, I'll be 30 soon. And we have this, when we were 11 in middle school, we didn't fit into our bodies. We were awkward. Like you had braces. You wore like the really thick eyeliner and like goopy bangs. And like I would wear like Hollister graphic tees with like a lacy camisole over it. Like, you know what I mean? Like we were just so awkward. We didn't understand our bodies yet. And again, I do believe it's important to be educated around our bodies, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I wasn't trying to be sexy as an 11-year-old. Were you? I mean, like, why? Like, what happened? Because this movie is deemed a coming of age, right? It's a rite of passage. When did this become our definition of a rite of passage? Like, a rite of passage to me, coming of age, is like getting to know yourself, yes, but you're not doing it to be an objectification sexually. Yeah, I didn't even know what that was. Like, what was sexy? You know what I mean? Like, we're making forts. The thing you're getting in trouble for is like getting on your phone when the lights are out. You know what I mean? It's like these different things. Like, our culture is getting so sexualized, and it's in the name of like female empowerment, sexual liberation, free, but we're forgetting that there are boundaries. There has to be, right? It's like how when we were raised as kids, personally, right? Like, I personally had like a very authoritative household. So it was very much like my way or the highway. Do as you're told, speak when spoken to. Here's the thing. So then what happens is when I was going to become a parent, well, I'm going to be a parent, but before I was pregnant, and I would be like, oh, one day if I was a parent, I was like, I'll swing all the way over to the other side, and it's like free for all, like, right? I just want to be everyone's best friend. It's going to be so chill, and I'm going to be the coolest parent, and I'm going to let everything fly. I was like, there's going to be no discipline. That's what we're watching happen in our culture right now, sexually. We went from like purity culture, oh my gosh, our generation grew up with so much shame, let's swing all the way to the other side of sexual liberation. And now girls as young as 11 are trying to be sexually liberated. You guys, they don't even have a sexuality yet. They are children. They don't even have those hormones moving through their body yet. And we are robbing them of their innocence. We are not teaching them what is right from wrong. We are grooming them, right? We're making it normalized and desensitized for them that they use their bodies for sex to get what they want, for the male gaze, for adult pleasure, to get ahead. We're not teaching the morals here. You know what I mean? So what's happening is we're not finding this gray area. We're in a trauma response as a culture. 1000%. Instead of, here's how I was traumatized as a kid, purity culture, authoritative parenting, very much dictatorship. Okay, so I'm just going to swing over to the other side in a different trauma response and say, free for all. No discipline, no boundaries, no morals, no ethics. It's okay, right? They'll figure it out. I just don't want them to grow up like I did, that we're not healing our own shit and then finding the gray area of, okay, I can teach my daughter about her body, how it works, what her period is all about, her hormones, her desire, her pleasure, right? I can teach her about, being liberated. I can teach her about really being sensual and being in her own energy. Personally, that's going to happen for my kids as like teenagers for the most part, right? Like when they actually get their period and they become, before they're an adult, like, right? Like, so adolescent of some sort, but not children. 11-year-olds are children. They are. I don't think I got my period till I was 12, right? These are kids. So really and truly, like, how is this okay? How are we like, oh, this is fine. This is no big deal. Female empowerment. No. This is, like I said, this is a war on our children. And I screenshotted a couple things to share because I think it's really important. People are saying out there that this is all about like messaging, this movie. And if you actually watch the movie in its entirety, the messaging is all about how it showcases how it's not okay for young girls to be doing this. And the whole point of it is that they shouldn't be dressing or dancing that way. Here's the thing, and here's what she said. A beautiful response to this, Lila Rose. You do not fight child exploitation by exploiting children. You do not stop child pornography by creating, selling, and distributing child pornography. If that is genuinely what the message of this film is to end child exploitation and to fight human trafficking and to fight this over-sexualizing children in our culture, you don't do that by literally serving it up on a silver platter and saying, kids, this is wrong. This is bad. Again, it is a rated mature. So any adult watching this, if it wasn't, in the mainstream, could be charged and convicted of having child pornography. But we're making it okay because it's on Netflix. And it's a French film. French film, my ass. Guess what? The co-founder of Sundance, where this movie was debuted, right? Where this film was awarded, just was charged with the second act of child sex crimes. You can look into Pizzagate. We're not going to get into that. You can look at how much this is happening. But it's happening in our homes is where these children are getting groomed. Did you even know, which I have it here, the United States, Americans are the #1 producer and consumer of child pornography. Did you know that? Case in point, we are normalizing it here. It's a film. It's Netflix. It's no big deal. This is a slippery slope. These laws being passed, these movies being okayed for everyone to watch, right? Like, we're making it so chill. And we're making it like, oh, well, if you're not on board, you're a prude. If you're not on board, it's just because you're an evangelical. If you're not on board, it's because you're some right-wing conspiracy theorist, right? And you're writing people off. It's a freaking cliff, exactly. You don't feed your local pedophile to send this message. Exactly. Those reviews that I posted, and everyone's like, oh, those are satire, those are funny. It's not funny to joke about raping children. It's not funny to joke about sexualizing children. Did we learn nothing from Chrissy Teigen and her 60,000 tweets over the last decade, right? Believe in Pizzagate or not, the fucking proof is there. And she's like, oh, I was kidding. Pedo jokes. Not funny. It's not funny. Again, slippery slope. You brush it off. It's no big, it could be worse. Yeah, but they meant this. Yeah, but she was just kidding. Well, what happens, like Amanda and I are talking on the phone, what happens when your kid comes to you and says, hey, daddy touched me here? Or, hey, my auntie touched me here and it felt weird. Oh, she didn't mean it like that. It's fine. Oh, he was just kidding. This is how this starts. Like, I have like the most disgusting shivers over my entire body because this is what's happening. We think child trafficking is a conspiracy theory, right? I literally read an article talking about how the Save the Children conspiracy theory movement by white young women on Instagram, right? Which, again, talk to Tim Ballard. He probably wants to poke your eyeballs out for, just writing it off as like no big deal. What's happening is that it's happening in our homes. Child trafficking isn't just in Hollywood. It's not just Pizzagate. It's not just this new thing that's up and coming from the conspiracy theorists on the right. This is it's the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. And Americans are the number one perpetrators, the number one producers and consumers. It's happening in our neighborhoods, in our churches, in our schools, in our homes. And you are complicit if you're allowing things like Cuties to be no big deal. It's one movie. Netflix is mostly pedophilia free. It's fine. Oh, it's just a joke. She was kidding. Don't be so mean. She was kidding. It breaks my heart for these children. We have to be a voice for the voiceless. And again, as someone who grew up in purity culture, so I get it. I grew up with a lot of shame around my body. I am all about empowering women and liberating women sexually. But huge distinction, they're fucking women. They are adults. They're adults. They understand the difference between right and wrong. They understand consent. They understand morals. They understand boundaries. They understand yes and no. They understand trust and safety. Children are children. They are not young women exploring their femininity, exploring their sexuality. They haven't even gotten their period yet. They don't know what the fuck that is. Let them go watch their, their other TV show, or go play with their friends and braid their hair and talk about boys. Like, they don't understand this yet. But seeing movies and films like Cuties makes it so that they want to try that. What about that show? It's like I Kissed a Boy or I Kissed a Girl or something on Netflix. There was another one where she was talking about, she sent a nude selfie to her boyfriend or some boy or something like that. She's like 13. What happens when you see that on a show and you're 13 years old and your mom maybe is absent or isn't fully present, or maybe you're like not super open with her, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture, and you take a naked selfie of yourself and you send it, right? Or on freaking Cuties, she's doing it on her uncle's phone. And now that picture at 11 years old, 13 years old is swimming around like it's no big deal. Like, please explain to me how this is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. And when your body like actually reacts to seeing some of these clips, like, I don't know if you guys have watched some of these clips, because it's one thing to read about it, right? It's another thing to actually like go in and like watch these clips. It is disturbing. My entire body's like I cannot even watch it. It makes me physically ill. My husband was like, get that far the fuck away from me. That is disgusting, right? That is a response in your body saying something is not right here. And I can't with people that are like, you're overreacting. You're so overreacting, right? Yeah, I don't know if I want to watch it. It's hard to watch, but I do think it's powerful to see and feel how your body responds, like, oh my God, even just that one clip. Like, I'm not going to watch the whole film, no. But even watching one clip, my whole body is like, this is so wrong. And if one more person tries to compare it to wearing a mask or whatever, like, I can't, you guys. I cannot with this division and this comparison. Saving our children should be the one thing at the end of the day that all of us can fucking agree on, no matter who you're voting for or what you believe in. It's protecting our children. It is our job as adults to protect children from the evil. How we grew up is so different than how our children are growing up now, right? When I was a kid, I could ride my bike like 3 neighborhoods over without a cell phone, and my mom knows that my mom would be like, oh, you would get there just fine. Right? Now you're like, oh, my kid's not going to go ride her bike around the neighborhood by herself. Are you freaking crazy? There are crazy people out there. Guess what? There are crazy people out there watching friggin' Cuties. They are out there grooming people on Instagram. That's where the fucking pedos hang out. TikTok, doing the WAP dance as an 8-year-old. Wet ass pussy. Like, you got, this is wrong on so many levels. Literally, we are handing these pedophiles our children. It's just an app. It's no big deal, right? I literally can't. Like, it makes me so, my blood boils, right? Lila Rose also said, anyone who instructs children to act in sexual ways is a predator, right? Netflix is distributing child porn. Filming it is illegal. Distributing it is illegal. Purchasing it is illegal. Where is the Justice Department? And anyone rationalizing child pornography is complicit. Cancel Netflix, right? If you look at it like this, there's literally... For those claiming that the filmmakers did nothing illegal, the law and case law is crystal clear here. The filmmakers and Netflix have violated Title 18, Section 2256. The Fifth Circuit created the DOST test, a 6-factor test to determine if images are child porn. Get this, okay? Get this. Here they are. Number 1, whether the focal point of the visual depiction is on the child's genitalia or pubic area. If you've seen the clips, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Number 2, whether the setting of the depiction is sexually suggestive, that is, in a place or pose associated with sexual activity. Hi, this is child pornography. Number 3, whether the child is depicted in an unnatural pose or in inappropriate attire considering the age of the child. Number 4, whether the child is fully or partially nude. Have you seen these booty shorts? Please, for the love of God. Number 5, whether the visual depiction suggests sexual coyness or a willingness to engage in sexual activity. Or, number 6, whether the depiction is designed to elicit a sexual response in the viewer. Again, this movie is rated mature for a mature audience. Guess what? There are men and women, I'm not even going to say just men, whacking off to this movie like it's no big freaking deal. And it was just, they don't even have to go on the dark web. They don't even have to go on Pornhub and search around. We're like, here you go. And it's in the name of coming of age. Enjoy. It's disgusting. The Netflix film blatantly zooms in on sexual parts of little girls as they dance suggestively, partially clothed, for adult audiences as explicit sexual exploration, and it fails this test every single way. She came on to her relative to try to keep the phone. 100,000%, right? So it's against the law. Have you also heard in an interview, one of the producers literally said they auditioned 650 young 11. These girls are actually 11, from what I've seen. They auditioned 650 girls for these parts, this lead part. When has that ever happened? First of all, that's ridiculous. And second of all, it's like you had 650 young girls, not women, children, twerking half naked for you while their parents just sat back and watched and drove them there, right? And everyone's just watching this like it's no big freaking deal. It makes me ill. It makes me ill. These people that made, like, you have to think of how many adults have watched this film. There was someone that dreamed it up. There's people that produced it, directed it, created it, edited it, distributed it, awarded it, right? These people are complicit in distributing child pornography, creating child pornography. This is not how we fight child exploitation, by serving it up this way. This is sick and this is wrong in so many ways. Again, it's a trauma response to be like, well, we grew up in purity culture. We were shamed. So let's just swing to the other side and freedom for all. That is why human trafficking is the #1 fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. Because it's become so, like, I'm like feel my throat chakra like wanting to throw up right now. Hello, everyone just joining. We're normalizing it. And again, I'm all about women being sexually liberated. I still think we have boundaries and we have morals, right? I still think that we need to be really mindful of what eyes are watching us. How come I see so many like Instagram accounts that are these like 9, 10, 11-year-old girls naked or in their swimsuit, like literally posing being sexy, and there's these creepy ass men in the comments and in their DMs. Why is this okay? This is how the pedos are watching and they're saying, hey, let me, come over here and like, you can model for me, right? I'll pay you. You're so beautiful. Grooming is happening. And so then these young girls, again, because they don't have the cognizance yet to understand, they do it. And if they don't have the parental figures, or they don't have like positive role models and leaders in their life to guide them and to protect them, we're literally handing it to them. Trauma. It is our job to protect them. And you don't have to be a conservative or a Christian or, some suburban mom. You don't have to be white in order to give a fuck. In fact, like, that makes me even angrier, because it should be Democrat or Republican, Christian or not, white or black. We should all agree on this. That these kids, our nieces, our nephews, the kids that we see at the grocery store, right? The kids that we see online, all of these children, the children that have already been trafficked, they should be our number one priority. Protecting them, keeping them safe. These kids are kids. Right? They are children. They don't have the awareness yet to understand, but we do. So we can have, right? So, okay, how can I empower my young daughters then? How can I empower these girls, right? How do I do it then? Of like, okay, so I don't want to be purity culture, and I don't want to go to the opposite of free for all. Let's just all walk around naked all the time. We have to be aware of, and I do think open, in our communication, especially with our children. There is evil in the world. There are bad people. There is darkness here. We live on a planet of polarity. There's no way around that. And so we have to explain to them, like, there are things that we have to be mindful of, right? Let's have open, honest communication around boundaries, right? And around morals, and around what safety looks like, and how it's different when you're, in your bedroom exploring pleasure or like at the grocery store, like there's a difference. There's something called consent and respect and trust that has to be built. There's safe containers when you're an adult to explore. We have to get like we could go into a whole nother conversation. We're not going to, but the idea of sovereignty and self-agency and power in ourselves, like, these are the conversations we need to be having. We need to have an open dialogue. Is there a space for your kids to go that are not, oh, I'm so glad you loved it. Thank you, Amanda. I love you. Is there this room for compassion and gentleness, and like a place where your kids can go to have a tough conversation with you that has zero judgment, where you're not the dictator? It's not telling our kids what to believe or telling them what to think or brainwashing them or being a dictator or an authoritative figure. It's about having discipline and boundaries and yes, having that, like, okay, I'm a parent, you're a child, but it's about also, like, where is the safe space for them to be curious? Where's the safe space for them to have these conversations? Because if you're not going to have it with them, they're going to go find it at school, or they're going to find it with someone that maybe you don't know what their values are and their morals are. They're going to watch it online, right? We have to create open, safe containers to have these conversations. But we don't teach them by serving child exploitation on a silver platter for a pedophile, his wet dream, right? To teach our daughters. Because again, this friggin' movie is rated for mature audiences. So our 11-year-olds aren't even watching it, but they are. Because, like, whoever watched it's on Netflix. You don't have to, like, buy it or rent it or go to the Blockbuster, get someone to, your friend's older brother to drive you. Like, it's literally on Netflix. Yeah. So it's really important to me because, again, I'm seeing it just written off as like, it's no big deal, whatever. It's the parents' responsibility. And we're thinking that every kid is the same kind of parent that you are or that you had. And that's just not the case. And so I encourage you to be aware of this, to be mindful of this. Like, please, it's going to look a little bit different for all of us in how we specifically show up for this in terms of, like, do you cancel your Netflix? Do you not? Like, or how are you having these conversations? Like, are you researching it? You know, whatever that might look like for you. But I have to believe that, again, no matter what politically you identify as or religion-wise you identify as, like, this is something we can all agree on. And we have to stop with the brushing it off and the writing it off as, it's just a conspiracy theorist thing, right? Oh, it's just a QAnon thing. Like, that makes my blood boil. There are people, kids, children being trafficked on your street. I think, so Michelle said, so for those of us who don't have kids, how can we make sure that children have that safe space? Wondering for myself. Yeah, beautiful question. I think it's more so even just being aware and being an embodiment of safety, right? Of even watching, like, when we're at the grocery store or you're out and about, like, are you aware of your surroundings? Are you mindful? You know, if you see something fishy, do you watch and do you call the police? Right? Do you have, like, nieces and nephews that you can be a safe space for? That you can just say, like, hey, like, if there's ever anything going on, like, you know, you can talk to me, right? Like, creating that, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Creating that open dialogue. I know for me, like, I didn't know who my safe people were. So I didn't have the conversations, the questions that I had, the curiosities I had, I buried them. Right? I kept them really quiet. And Michelle, you can even do this for nephews. This is girls and boys are both trafficked and exploited, right? Whether sexually or for other reasons. That it's happening everywhere. But it's really important to have that kind of safety and that clarity in, like, hey, like, I hope you know you could come to me, right? And, like, that's what I want to do for my kids, right? I'm having a boy. He's not a girl. He's a boy. And he's going to go through some things, and his dad's not always going to be around because he's friggin' doing his thing, saving the world in his own way. And I'm going to have to be like, hey, like, I hope you know you can come to me. And, like, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be angry. There's no judgment. Like, I want this to be a safe space for you to have these conversations, for you to be able to have these curiosities, and for us to talk about it. Even when it's fucking uncomfortable, because a lot of times it's going to be. Right? Like, thinking of my kid as, like, growing up to, like, have desire. I'm like, oh, this is so weird. He's like a little infant. He's like 2 pounds in there right now. That's weird, right? It's my kid. But, like, I'm his parent. I need to be a safe person for him, or I want to be, right? So just being really, really mindful and aware, like, where are we saying that, oh, this is child sexuality. Children are not sexual. Stop writing it off with these, like, fancy words to, like, be part of this, like, very much, like, modern day feminist movement where, like, free, like, there's boundaries. There has to be for safety. There has to be. So can we just look at this from this very much, like, zoomed out point of view, right? Remove your trigger, remove your charge, remove your activation of, like, holy fuck. Right? Like, this has become political, and I don't want to be seen as right-wing, so I'm not going to look at it. Like, this is something we all can agree on. Hello, Jess. Hello, everyone hopping on. Really and truly, please, can you zoom out and look at it? Look at these different areas. Look at these things that I've been sharing, that other people have been sharing. Do some research on Ecosia. Google's not going to give you shit because Google's all a part of it. It's all dark. There's so much that we could go into there. It's been bought, it's been paid for, right? And this is part of the agenda. Normalize pedophilia. It's a war on children. If you don't believe me, go study the extent of human trafficking and knowing that a lot of it is children and it's happening all around us. Child sex abuse. This girl on Cuties taking a picture with her uncle's phone, trying to, like, give her body to her uncle so she can get her way. Again, thank God he said no. Guess what? There's a lot of uncles and even aunts out there. Again, it's not gender specific, who wouldn't say no. This is happening in our homes. When your kid comes to you, do you write it off as, oh, they didn't mean it like that? That's just, they're kidding. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. It could be worse. Oh, no, I'm sure you're overreacting. You're exaggerating. This is how this shit happens because we've normalized it. And so I just don't want to see, I do not want to see this just become this politicized bullshit like they're trying to make it, when really, like, it's blatantly obvious that this is lawfully wrong. If this was found on any of our computers, this movie, if it wasn't mainstream, we would be charged and convicted of having child pornography. There's no way, like I read at the beginning of this, if you missed it, the laws, it's got like 6 indicators that it's breaking a law. But yet we've made it okay, right? How do we study things and know more about the deep darkness when Google is a part of it? Which search engine do we trust? Ecosia, thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, Ecosia is great. I personally will find things on, I follow a lot on Instagram and on Twitter, and then from there I'll research it, and I can kind of pick pieces apart. Looking at the source is really important. Like, do they tend to be more neutral? Are they, right wing? Are they left wing? Are they somewhere in the middle? And kind of peeling it apart that way. When it comes to laws, you can look at the government's website, and that's going to be there. Like this whole, the laws that I was talking about, you could look that up, and there's no way that can really be lied about. Again, it's factual evidence. But, you can even look at IMDb, a lot of this is on there. It's just, and here's the other thing is beyond what you even see and can find to back something up, can you tune into your body and what is happening in your discernment? What is happening in your intuition? What is happening in your felt sensation? Because for me, for example, when I first saw a couple clips from Cuties and before I had even done any research on it, my whole body was like, oh my God, what? How is this legal? How is this okay? And then I could go research it from there, but my heart and my body was so clear. And then from there too, I love, so I've got the research side, the logical side, the evidence-based side, right? But then there's the other side of the claircognizance. We just know, especially as women, we have such a heightened intuition. We just know our body is telling us all of the time. And can you spend time with yourself in stillness and quiet and really being with that energy and feeling into it from there so you can get your own information? So whether you tune into God, the angels, universe, spirit, whoever, your ancestors, right, your own higher self, you can get your own information and your own answers and your own guidance and be able to see things a little bit clearer too that way. So I play with both. I play with the more logical side, very real side, and like real life in my face, I could prove it to you. And then the other side is my claircognizance, my own channels and what's coming through me. And that's how I trust that. So I missed a lot of comments. Yeah, oh my God. Courtney, I missed what you said. Does anyone else have any questions? Let's see. Children need to be children. Yeah, what happened to building a fort? And I used to make secret recipes in my kitchen with my friends. We would make secret recipes and make our parents eat them. You know what I mean? What happened? Why are 11-year-olds trying to be sexy now? Why is that the new passing of time? I don't, and it's in movies, it's in video games, the porn industry. It's so, guys, this shit goes so deep. If you do not follow Kate J, OSEEN, I believe, please follow her. She's so knowledgeable around all of this and shares stuff every single day. And then Our Rescue as well. Yeah. Oh my goodness. We took TikTok and Instagram away from my 7-year-old niece. Good. God, I can't. I even told Joe, I was I don't even know if our kid will ever have social media because it's so, and again, please, as a parent, do what feels right for you. This is only something you can make these rules for yourself and for your own family. But there's just so much. If you, I can also share it too. There's a whole highlight called Screens from Madison. I don't remember her last name, something blog that I've shared some stuff of before, and Rose Uncharted. They both talk a lot about this too, of like just the dangers of what's happening right now. It's just so much different than when we grew up. So this is where I mean it's important for us to be knowledgeable and to be informed as adults, especially for those of us who have kids or those of us who have nieces and nephews, right? It's important for us to be aware and then use our own intuition to make our own decisions from there, because how we parent is going to be so different for all of us. I don't believe there's like a right and a wrong. Like, I'm not here to tell you how to parent, but I am here to encourage you to please, 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 like, feel into it and trust yourself, right? Let's see. Yeah, I'm saying it's wrong. It made me sick when I saw the video. Totally. Yeah. I don't even think my 13-year-old niece should have a social media, but that's not my place to say. That's so hard. Oh, it's so hard. I get it. I am not looking forward to having to make any of these decisions as a parent, to be honest. I'm like, oh, thank God he's a baby. Okay, he's not going to need to have any of those rules for a minute, you know? Like, I have some examples of grooming from my own state just a few hours from me. A 50-year-old man posing as a 20-year-old, messaging a 14-year-old asking about her panties. It's sickening. Yep. I can tell her dad's girlfriend so she can bring it up to him. Yeah. Fuck. Oh my goodness, this is so intense. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. I couldn't even finish watching some of the clips people are sharing. It was so disturbing and made my stomach turn. Exactly. I used to dig for worms. Oh my God, it's so true. Exactly, Mariah. That's just it. It's like, trust that. And do not, here, we'll end here. Do not let anyone shame you for that. Oh, you're overreacting. You're like, that's complicit behavior. That is how we continue normalizing it. Our constant like hunger for like more sexual liberation and like more freedom and more empowerment, like we're becoming too far like to the other side of the extreme of like, okay, we're so sheltered and we're so purity culture and we're so shaming. Let's go over here, which is another fucking trauma response, that we're forgetting there's got to be discipline and boundaries and safety and respect and this like middle ground of like, okay, how can we teach and empower them around their bodies and around their pleasure and their sexuality as they grow up. Again, children don't have a sexuality. They're children. The only people that see children as sexual are predators, pedophiles. Like, you literally can't argue with me on that. People have tried, but you literally can't. Like, it's definitive. Like, it's objective. It's the truth. It's a fact. Right? The rest of us, normal people who don't have this issue, I will say, like, we don't see children as sexual objects. Traffickers do. Predators do. Rapists of minors, right? Child rapists, pedophile, like that, you know what I mean? Like, this is where we're getting in that slippery, dangerous slope of, like, using this fancy language to normalize something. I love you and I love how open you are speaking about this hot topics. Thank you. Thank you so much. I received that. You explain things so well and I love watching you riff on all these topics. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I received that because messages like that keep me going because there are a lot of messages that are not like that. Oh, if you guys could only see my Instagram DMs. Okay, let me see. Is there any other questions? Let me see if there's anything else on here. Please just open up. Yeah, it's not a dictatorship with your kids. Like, open up the conversation. Give them a safe space to be curious, to come to you with things, and don't brush it off as Chrissy Teigen taught us, right? As like, it's just a joke. Like, she literally hashtagged pedo jokes, like, on her Twitter, and then deleted 60,000 tweets in a matter of an overnight when Pizzagate came to light. And here we are, and like, the media brushed it off. Here's the thing. Here's how I know when shit is real and it's dangerous, okay? The media is not talking about it. Or they're brushing it off and they're making it the conspiracy theory shit, okay? Hollywood's not talking about it. There's not one. So I think I saw Kate Winslet. That's like Kate Winslet, Blake Lively are the only two celebrities I've ever seen talk about this, okay? They're all complicit. They're all part of it. It's like, to me, I'm just like, does it not get more obvious? That like for some reason with all these children being saved from trafficking and saved from abuse, we're not hearing about that in the media. We're hearing about masks, and about Trump and his Diet Coke, and about, Biden and his, friggin' dementia. And we're hearing about all this shit that's distracting us completely from like the save the children. That's not a conspiracy theory, and it's not political. It's not a partisan issue. It is straight up, we need to save the motherfucking children. Whether you're a parent or not, this next generation is powerful. They are here to heal the planet, to raise the vibration of us collectively, and they are gifted. And we have to protect them. Take their fucking masks off. They don't need to wear a mask. They're kids. This virus is not affecting children at all. The masks are making them more sick than anything, right? Like there's so many layers here, which I'll talk about when I do my War on Children a podcast or Instagram live or something like that. But when it comes to like this sexualization and this pedophilia and this shit that we talked about tonight, like please open your eyes. Please trust your body. This shit is wrong in so many ways. So many ways. It's literally lawfully wrong, but yet we're still writing it off as it's no big deal. Okay? Trust that. It's factually based. Like this is not my opinion. This is my factually based evidence and beliefs. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you for being here with me as always. If you have certain things you want me to unpack in future truth-seeking Instagram lives, let me know in the comments, and I would love to be able to, or send me a message. I would love to be able to unpack more things. Like I said, I'm going to do a War on Our Children one. There's other ones I want to do, but that's kind of where I'm going to start, and then we'll go from there. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you for being so courageous and so willing to fight this resistance with me and to show up for it and to really do your part and play your role, whatever that might be. It might not be doing an Instagram live like me, totally fine. But even you just doing your own healing, you looking out for the children in your life around you, you really trusting those convictions and that discernment and what your body is telling you, that in itself, right, is us healing, is us really being open and doing this work in this awakening. All of our roles will look different and they all matter, and we're all having to work together. So take care of yourself. Please go nourish yourself. Do something to move the energy, right? Make sure your energy field stays clear. You stay grounded, you stay rooted, so we can continue to show up and fight this. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.